Are the tikis doing very well for you?
I'm going to sit over here if you guys aren't going to sit in the fire. The tikis have done good for me, but they're not now. They're slow. Well, maybe not this month, but it's getting pretty close to a losing month.
Oh no. They look so neat. I didn't see
I
the
know
listing.
I actually
She did.
just did look at it.
Yeah, they're cool, but they're expensive. That's part of the issue. But again, this isn't expensive, and I'm still slow too. So I mean,
Which shocks me.
it's the thing of the year. You know, it's just slow. Everybody's slow. It doesn't matter what you're doing. All the shuttle boats, or not the shuttle boats, the tour boat operators, they're all complaining. Fishing captains. So hopefully it picks up through the season, but I just have this sneaking suspicion it's going to be slow all year. Probably until next Christmas, this coming Christmas, which will be after the election, when everybody can settle out about that.
Make it through that. Yeah.
I've heard that all the time is in an election year, the economy is always just like, what's going to happen?
People are nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I was staying at a hostel, Seashell Motel, I think it's called.
Yep.
And everybody, last night we were up talking till like midnight, and everybody I told about this, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do that." And so, I mean, maybe that's your clientele, you know, like.
Yeah, I've thought about going in there, but also I don't want to
Take
away
them.
from
I don't want to
anybody.
take business necessarily,
player.
Yeah.
but also they're busy a lot of the time because there's two hostel type places in town. I think there's the Seashell, and then there's this other one that I looked up. Some guy was giving me shit about my price. He was like, "Why am I going to spend $100 and
What?
all of this on shuttle when I can just get a room in town for $100?"
Come see why.
This
not
is like
your-
Christmas week, and I'm
he's
like,
not your
dude, you can't
clientele."
get a $100 room in Key West during Christmas. So I looked it up, and then I happened across this other place, and it was like $104 or something for a room, which
Yeah.
was just a bunk bed, one of the bunks in a common room. I'm like, dude, this is the same thing, and you're stuck in a building. Like,
I was going to say, there's a
this
lot
is
different.
completely different. Yes, you're going to end up spending more by the time you pay the water shuttle and all that
Well,
stuff.
you really
but
get a deal on that water shuttle, though. That's great.
you guys get the deal. I don't. I pay the
You
difference.
pay the difference?
Yeah, so I
They
mean,
don't give you
it's
a
lot.
break?
No, that's an expensive operation right there.
Oh.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it certainly is. I didn't
Yeah.
know
I
that.
figured they'd
You know
had
that.
a partnership with you and they would like split the
Oh,
difference.
wow,
or-
very
No,
generous.
the partnership is
Thank you.
that
that
the
you-
partnership is that I get to collect all these coupon codes during the month, and at the end of the month, I pay the balance of the difference.
Oh my word.
So it adds up.
Glad to know that, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's part of the expense of having to come all the way out here, all the way back in. All that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and I appreciate that you didn't want, people just pulling up. Like I read that in your thing.
Oh,
like,
with their boats. Yeah. No,
Drop
because I
off.
mean,
yeah, that's a whole
I've
different.
ran into that before, early on when I first started in 2016. I guess it was 2016, and people wanted to bring their boats. A lot of people don't know how to drive their boats, and they smack into your stuff. And even if they
Yeah.
know how to drive your boats, they're not familiar with having a boat tied up to a boat at anchor for duration, long
Yeah.
durations of time.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's pretty difficult to deal with that kind of stuff. But also the comings and the goings. I mean, I'm responsible for everybody on
And the
board. If
potential,
anybody gets
right.
hurt,
Yeah.
I'm the most senior qualified person, so it always falls on me. And with that, it's like, for what reason would I want to let someone come in and bring that stuff, put me at risk, put potentially other people at risk? Somebody falls off the boat, or they don't see that there's somebody snorkeling and runs over them with propellers.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, there's so many things that could go
Yeah.
wrong with these people that I'm just inviting onto the boat that I have no idea their qualifications, capabilities, or just, accidents do happen. Accidents have happened to me, and I'm qualified and capable. So, it's just easier for me to say, nope, just not going to do it.
No, I think that's wisdom, though.
It is.
And you
It
you
really
get a whole
is.
different clientele sometimes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, just pull up our jet skis.
Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah, but
I think once people get wind of this, they'll want to.
I'll be
think so.
back.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
it'll be a slow go getting the review base built up. And I do hope for the podcast that at some point that begins to drive business to the boat as well, because people will hear the conversations and they'll be like, they'll enjoy the concept of being able to go and commune with people. Like, 'cause
Awesome.
where can you go that you just meet total strangers and have long conversations? Like, you can't. Like, a bar is the only place that I can think that it's somewhat acceptable to go in and meet someone you don't know and just start talking to them. But then that's a very particular type of atmosphere. Like, I don't like that atmosphere.
Right,
I
and
don't
many
like
times
Yeah.
they're got all other kinds of things going on.
Yeah, we don't usually have.
Large beats.
Yeah, we don't usually have deep conversations about implications of AI in the modern world or anything like that. Not the bars I go to. Not the bars in Key West. Maybe the bars in DC. But yeah, so with that idea of being able to bring people together on a social level, that's one of my personal missions, I guess, and to be able to tie that in with what I'm doing here out on the water, with obviously the beauty of nature, being able to be on the boat. Everybody loves being on a boat. Like, it all just works. It blends together so well. And I was just telling this to
Yeah.
somebody else the other night that I didn't set out to achieve this. It just I stumbled into it and realized, oh, this is great. This is just what
what's
I wanted to
happening.
be able to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just going to take some time for people to hear about it.
Now in the summer you don't do anything here, or like you try, but
No, I will.
You will.
Yeah, my other boat, that's the big one that's on its side right over here. That's the original Andromeda.
We heard about that
Yeah,
from the
and
shuttle driver.
that one I ran that for almost 4 years, and I ran it all year long.
Awesome.
Summers
No,
are the best because I mean,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because I'll probably be back. I have a grandson who's getting born, so no, I love this.
yeah, summertime is great because you jump in the water. It's so warm and usually pretty
Really?
calm. You know,
Right,
for
and
the
then
days.
you utilize everything because it's hot everywhere else.
And the water in the Pearl Basin area stays pretty clear because it's got all the seagrass around here and it keeps the sediment down.
Nice.
And there's a lot of fish that like to live under the boat, and I've been kind of keeping an eye on them. They're like my dinner table of sorts. You know, again, I'm not going to get in the water right now, but I like to spearfish, and when I get to summertime, summer, I'm like, I'm just going to jump in the morning and grab a fish, cook it right up. There we go,
Yeah.
breakfast.
There you go.
Can't beat that.
No, you really can't.
So you're here for your friend's wedding, which is, I guess,
Not wedding,
now over?
50th birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Just birthday, yeah.
Birthday, which
she
is
made
now
it through.
past.
She
Right?
made it through.
Yeah. It was a big blowout extravaganza that she hoped.
No, well, yeah. I mean, it was great, but it wasn't like a group of partiers. It was low key and nice and
Good.
good variety. She planned some stuff that we did together, and then we had time apart, do your own thing, and so it was a good mix. And
Good.
everybody had a great time. They pampered us with amazing meals, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was a really good weekend
And you've been here before, Key West?
as a kid.
Oh, that's right. You did say
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Not for many, many years.
And why did you come down here?
Why did I come down here? I I used to live in Sarasota, but I'm a nurse and I do an infusion on a patient just independently. And for the last 2 years up where I live in Cape Vincent actually, and we've become friends because just being together. And I go to her house to do this infusion. She's a pretty cool lady, and she lives here in the winter. They have a business, plumbing. And I said, I've never been to Key West. She goes, well, if you ever want to, I go, careful, because Alan will show up. And so, yeah, so I planned it. I came down. My son bought a place in Fort Myers and his wife, and they're having a baby in April, so I'll be back. And so I rented a car. What did I say? It was a Tesla. I didn't have an electric car before. Yeah, so then I ventured down here. So I've been up for a couple weeks in Florida, and then I go, it's my vacation now, so
There you go.
it's down here.
There you go.
And they've been wonderful. They really know the area, and did a sunset cruise, and that girl knew you on that because I asked about it. Yeah, and so I'm staying out. And
A sunset
so
cruise?
her name, Kelsey was her name, and she did it was schooner. It was on a schooner. But I asked of you. I go, yeah, I'm going to say. Said she knew of your boat.
Kelsey. Is
Kelsey.
she cute?
Yeah, and she's been on like 7 years. She's a captain. She does some other cruises. Yeah. I think it was Kelsey. Now I'm questioning myself
Well,
because I'm terrible at names.
it's surprising to me how many people know me that I don't know. 'Cause
No,
I
and
mean,
she
like,
was like a positive. And oh
Yeah.
boy, the girl gave us a ride here. Nothing but great things to say
Yeah,
about it.
she's
Captain,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, my life is pretty much just sequestered to the boat, working on stuff. And if I'm not here, you'll find me at the laundromat, grocery store, or Home Depot. It's like,
So
that's it.
exciting, Ryan.
Yeah,
So
and
exciting.
then
It's quite a
it's-
life you're living.
Man,
The dream.
yeah. I
So do
mean,
you stay connected with friends just through technology?
I don't really have any friends. I have one buddy up in Miami, and I call him every once in a while. He calls me, but we don't really get to see each other because he's in Miami doing his thing, and I'm here doing mine. And then I've got a couple of friends here in the Anchorage. Well, Captain Lisa, she's a friend of mine, and then another Captain, Danny. He's also a water shuttle captain. Those are like my two friends in town.
Yeah.
And that's it. I just don't have time. Like, I've been historically running up to Pennsylvania every month to go visit with my kids. And so my goal was to be able to spend 2 weeks here and 2 weeks there and just go back and forth and back and forth, which ended up being more like 2.5 weeks here and 9 days there because of the flight schedules.
Right.
And but you know, when I'm there, I don't want to be there. Like I only go there for the sake of the kids. You know, I hate that place. It's depressing. There's nothing good in my heart about it. So I'm like not trying to build a life there. I don't want to get to know anybody. So I just stay at home, and I usually work on things for the boat, or you know, work on stuff for the tikis, planning, purchasing, ordering, designing. Like the curtains in the bunk rooms, I sewed all those when I was up there. Not this last time, but the time before. Which, if you notice, the stitching is all terrible because it's my first time sewing.
Oh, no, I didn't notice.
It's
In here
effective.
or in our rooms?
In your guys' rooms.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No, these are
And
just fine.
you are not going to need the heat for me. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about that.
I don't
No.
think so.
Heck
Okay.
no. Yeah.
Good.
So save there.
Yeah.
And I'll get you some more K-cups.
Yes.
So do your children ever come here?
Yeah, my daughter, I called her yesterday and touched base with her. So I got 4 daughters.
Oh my
The
gosh, I'm so sorry.
youngest is 16.
Just kidding.
And then I have the next one will be turning 18 in March. The next one is 19. She got married this past June.
Wow.
Moved up with her boyfriend who's in the military. So now, well, husband now. So they're living in Tennessee. And my oldest will be turning 21 this month.
Wow.
So it's really just the youngest one that I do anything with. The one after her, I'm not sure what's going on. She's not talking to me.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
And the oldest one, I'm not really, I don't know. Our relationship is strained right now through I think it's because of the divorce stuff that's just
It
still
happens.
not resolved. But
So 4. You said 4 or 5?
4, yeah.
Oh, 4 girls.
But for the youngest one, she's at that age too, where she's starting to be more interested with, well, is definitely more interested with her friends and peer group than she is with her mom and dad.
Yeah.
So I guess I started to look at this whole thing like I'm wasting a lot of time being there because I don't even spend time with my daughters anymore because they're all doing their own things, and I'm just kind of making this sacrifice, and it's a big sacrifice for me. Like nobody else will understand that. It's a thing that's in me. But I'm here, and when I'm here, I've got all of this stuff that is stressing me the hell out. You know, I've developed this twitch in my eye from the stress in the last month. I'm like, I need to resolve this because my only way out of this stress is to finish the job. I just got to finish the job, you know. So,
Right.
so now I'm going to be doing one weekend a month. So I go up there, visit with her, and then hopefully by condensing our time together, we'll have better time together.
Yeah,
Rather
and-
than longer periods where we're just sitting on the couch watching TV.
Right. I encourage you, though. It's not a waste of time because it probably speaks volumes, and it will in
Yeah.
the future, right?
No, it did.
I
It
mean,
did
and that's why
definitely.
you do it.
For my youngest. It
Yeah.
did. The rest of them, again, I think there's too many other issues on the table for them to really care the fact that I did come up as much as I did. But for the youngest one, she sees it. She understands and appreciates it.
Yeah.
So, and as long as at least one of them appreciates it, then, or even if
worth
they
it.
don't right now, it's still
Correct.
it's
It'll
my
look
job.
back.
It's,
what
a
I've
lot
got
of
to do
time.
to be able to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
Did you used to live in Pennsylvania at one point? Okay.
Yeah, I lived there for like 20 years.
Oh, what
finally
part
got out.
of Pennsylvania?
I lived in Pittsburgh right before this for about 3 years, and then before that it was north of Pittsburgh, about an hour and a half or so north of Pittsburgh. A small little town where there's just nothing going on, no opportunities, no
Right.
growth or anything.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't really have any friends right now, which is another thing that's kind of weighing in on me, is my, looking at my decayed social life after the divorce and all of that, the
Yeah.
boat stuff. And I've done it to myself, and I know that I have, but I'm back to
Isolated
this.
on your little island here.
Yeah, I'm back to this thing. Like I've got to get this stuff wrapped up, and I have a bad habit of biting off more than I can chew on projects. And I keep telling myself I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to meter my situation. And I think after this project, I really am, because right before I got this boat, I had not right before. It was sort of right before. A few months before I got this boat, I started working on my pickup truck and restoring that. And that turned into like an 18-month project. And it was very stressful. Not stressful. It was just
Time consuming.
very time consuming. And like I didn't want, at some point along the way, probably the last few months of it, I just didn't want to do it. Because I was in the body work part, and I don't like body work as it is. But I wasn't going to pay somebody to do it because it was going to be like $20,000. Like, I'm not paying $20,000 for any of this stuff. I'm going to pay $2,000. Maybe I would pay $2,000. But so I just did it myself, and I hated every minute of it. And when I finally got done, I was like, no more of this. And before that, I was building the Grand Tiki, and when I was done with that, I was like, no more of this. And then I got this, and now I'm like, no more of this. So I really do think that once I get this wrapped up, I'm certainly going to take some time and just not get into any other
And
projects.
enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
Enjoy
Yeah,
the
enjoy
labors of your,
Enjoy my time, go hang out.
the fruits of your labor.
Hopefully at that point I'll be in a better financial position, because I mean, for a long time I didn't have a choice. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck, basically doing these boat rental things. And that's why I built the first Tiki, was so that I could have a business that would allow me to hire other people to run, so that I could leave and go see the kids more frequently, because that was my big priority. But again, now that the kids are pretty much growing up and almost done with school entirely, as the financial burdens ease on that whole thing, but also the fact that I have built a life that supports that, eventually, hopefully it doesn't get destroyed by the economy or a hurricane. It'll be there in the next couple of years when my last one is out of school, and it'll just be there for me. And then I could go focus on myself for a while. So that's sort of my light at the end of the tunnel.
And hopefully you can just have all your girls right here. Come see what
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
been
we
doing.
went out to the Dry Tortugas with this boat in June for kind of the dry run, no pun intended. Anti-pun.
But
I'm not
very
sure
well
what
done.
that is. But, I don't know. I feel like they just didn't really appreciate it that much. They said they liked it, but I got more of the impression that they were like,
What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the boat is not in nice condition and all that, but they don't appreciate the nature and the beauty like I do. And I get that. It's probably somewhat to do with age. When they're young, you don't really appreciate that stuff anyway. A lot of people don't anyway.
You don't
And as you
look
get older,
around
you
you,
get
they're
better.
just like, consumed.
And
Once
it's
they
also
have a job in the city for a few years in the rat race, they'll
Yes.
realize
yeah.
how
But
much
also
they
it's
appreciate this.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a-
when they go to school, a lot of times they do too. I mean, mine are all adults. So how old are your children?
10 and 13.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, the generation growing up in a phone.
Oh, I
That's
absolutely.
totally
Yes.
different.
Social and all those
Yeah.
words you own, and it's like that's your mood. It blows my mind. I'm so glad I'm not raising right now.
Yeah.
That had just started, and yeah, no self-talk except they put it out there, and then all that response. So it can be really damaging.
Yeah.
Formed by the opinions of others, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. But when you're on this boat, it's pretty wonderful, you know. Prison with no walls, right? You're not in a prison by the remarks of others. Yeah, I love it. Pretty special, Ryan. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
So I guess you're going home tomorrow?
I
Flying
am.
out?
Unless I extend my ticket.
I know,
one more
unless you
day.
bump it again, then we don't even have to bother with the airport. I have a feeling mine will get canceled.
Yeah.
I should have
maybe
maybe not opted, but I do want to see the dry truck.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's way more beautiful if you could go in the summer though, when you can go by boat and swim around and see the shipwrecks and stuff. It's
Yeah. Well, I thought
so
the plane would be kind of cool because they hover over them and you
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's cool.
And it's
too.
only 45 minutes. Yeah, I could have. I was leaving. I'm leaving, going back home, and I said, yeah, I'll try tomorrow. And now I'm like, because I'm loving this. I don't need to go
Yeah.
anywhere.
I was thinking about trying to use this boat to do some Tortuga trips, like a
Yeah, there must be a big
like a
license.
cruise. So essentially, it's the same thing. It's like a hostel thing, except it's at that point it's not a hostel at all. It's literally a cruise. You break down the cost and share it out, but it's freaking expensive. I think I spent $2,500 in fuel to get there and back. That was just the fuel.
Wow.
Oh, and the fuel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really expensive.
But then they probably have tons of fees. I mean, National Park, I don't know. It's only
No,
that
the-
one seaplane
no,
that
the
goes
park-
in, so I just wondered how
Yeah,
that.
the park fees were actually pretty affordable. That is a good point, though. I forgot that they do have, I think they have some licensing program for charter boats that you have to have a special license to operate commercially within the park. Although I don't know how that would work.
No, I'm sure there are, but it would be cool if you did this, or if you did the Tortugas. Is that how you say it, or Tugas?
Tortugas.
Tortugas. Do it, but you make it like a 3-day thing, and then you just go there and
Yeah,
oh, you like to snorkel, or and then you go in.
absolutely.
Pay
Yeah.
to stay. Yeah, don't just do a day trip. I mean, like milk it,
Yeah.
and then someone gets
mean, I
all
could
that
do-
enjoyment out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely do one trip.
God. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Just a family you bring on here, priceless.
Oh, this is great. I would.
Yep.
I would love to live on a boat.
Oh, we'd say that. Really, you could live on one because
I would.
Yeah.
I had a friend here, and he would always say that when the weather would get nasty and boats were dragging and banging into each other, he'd come by and smile and say, "So you wanted to live on a boat, huh?"
I love the water though. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, I've learned my way through the difficult parts to know what to prepare for and
Yeah.
do in a certain way. Like again, being all the way out here away from everybody protects my boat. Like I'm not worried about my boat coming loose. I'm worried about everybody else's boats. That's what always ends up happening. It's somebody else's boat that messes you up. Living on a boat this size is important to me because it's comfortable.
It's very
spacious,
comfortable.
it's-
Yeah, that
you don't
could
really
just sound
notice
like
the
you're
difference.
toppling in a little
Right.
sailboat, right?
Little sailboat, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's cramped, barely stand up. Tiny little bathroom
This
closet.
is really sweet.
I mean, having a kitchen with an actual full-size refrigerator that's like a residential refrigerator and a normal-size stove.
that's a
all
really
of
nice
that stuff
kitchen.
is just great. And then having the, all of the other things like the generator and the water maker and the things that you need to, live comfortably out here.
How's the motor on this?
Good. I actually just ran it this morning. The guy who stayed last night was a marine engineer, and he works on big ships, much bigger than this. So he wanted to see it, and I needed to start him up anyway. So I fired him up and exercised him a little bit, That's what I do. I don't try to go places very frequently, again, because it's so damn expensive to go anywhere. But yeah, it's one of the better parts of this boat mechanically is the
Well, that's
engines.
big though.
Yeah, it is.
When you put that on it, because
But-
then you can travel.
Yeah, if you can afford it. Yeah.
Right.
I've been racking my brain, like, how can I make this like an electric boat or a
Yeah, solar.
hydrogen boat or something? Hydrogen may be the best fuel source, but that's probably what I'll start thinking about once I get the construction stuff done, is engineering some sort of a system like that to do, what is that called? I forget what they call it. I think it's like an electrolysis system that
Wow.
basically just split the molecules of water and then you get hydrogen and then you pump that into a tank, and so you can put far less energy in using the electric to split the water and create the hydrogen than you would just be able to use the
Yeah.
electric itself, right? And there's some boats that they're doing that with now. They're actually using that system for heavy machinery at like mines and different things.
That's awesome. We need to.
Yeah, so I need to. I can't fill these tanks. It's too expensive.
Yeah, to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's get a water wheel.
And so when do you go home?
I am. I go back to Fort Myers on Tuesday, and then have a shower for my son and daughter, and my two other. I have 4 children, and 2 of my girls are flying in for that. So I'll have 3 out of 4, which I always used to really hunger for to have them all together, but it's always pretty difficult. Like I go and see them one at a time because it's just the dynamics of a family.
Yep.
We all
exactly.
have them, right?
Yep.
But that'll be nice. We're there to celebrate. Baby's coming in April, so then I'll be back for that. I am definitely coming back to the area in March, but I go back to New York on the 14th. Fly back, and it'll be dark and gloomy, but I work per diem in the Adirondacks. It's very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Woods, yeah, Star Lake, real rural. It's peculiar. It's like a really good book. Everybody's related. They know each other for generations.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's really. And I'm originally from Detroit, and then I moved to Watertown, New York when I got married, and I thought that was small, and it's like, oh no, that's like metro. And I live in myself. I now reside in Clayton, New York, which is in the Thousand Islands. It's really lovely, and it's got a great community, and then of course the whole tourism and the river. I have a little boat, 17-inch, see right, 17 feet inch,
Yeah.
17 feet. I've had some white wine, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the river's different. Like you have shoals everywhere. I was nervous about it, but I just love the water.
Yeah.
So I learned it and just go out there and shut the engine off, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's really special meeting you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I feel very lucky.
I know we were like gleaming when we were taking the boat right out. It's like raining, or felt like it was. We were getting hit with the water. Lisa goes, "Sorry." I go, "It's great." Remind me of my boat because it does that.
So what do you do for work?
I'm home with my kids right now. I was a biologist, and I'm on the board for a refugee resettlement agency.
Oh, really?
So we
Okay.
do a little. Sometimes I've been on a team to help resettle a family, and we had a family live with us for almost 6 months from
Wow.
where Guatemala.
Is that so? What would be the definition for refugee?
The people who are persecuted, and it's unsafe for them to live. You know, they have to qualify for the definition of being a refugee.
And what is it
But-
for Guatemala?
Well, that family was different. That was our only family that it was family reunification project.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Because one of their boys was trafficked to the U.S. And then the U.S. government provides a visa for the whole family to come. He was like out of trafficking and safe, but then the family had to come over. And in the meantime, he turned 18, and then they didn't get any of the benefits that normally a refugee family would get to help them settle. But the government wants them to come, so if there's like a court case or anything, they're here to testify, and they want the family reunified.
I see.
But they weren't allowed to work because he turned 18 by the time they were here, and normally it would be a minor who then the family would be allowed like work permits quickly and different things. So it took a long time for them to be able to work, even though they wanted to.
So many stories, I know.
Yeah. So they stayed with us, which was why I got into the refugee work in the first place. It was like, we have space, why can't we share it? You know?
Yeah.
So many needs out there.
Yeah.
So what other parts of the world do you guys work with?
Afghanistan is often a country, and it's the type of visa that they qualify for because they've helped the U.S. government in their country, and then often it
And then we
becomes
split.
unsafe for them because of the work they've done.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
then they're allowed to come over, and there's a whole program set up for them. So we've had a lot of families from Afghanistan, and but then there's random countries too. Single guy from Cameroon.
I don't even know
I don't
what
know
Cameroon
his
is.
story. Yeah,
Where is that? Do you know?
I think it's
Sounds so interesting.
Africa.
Ah,
But-
Cameroon.
Yeah, he wasn't. I wasn't a part of that team, but I met him. Just amazing humans, you know. The things they go through,
Yeah.
the wisdom and the knowledge they have coming here,
Brings
like,
us
yeah.
wealth, yeah.
it
We
humbles
benefit.
you
Right.
because of what they've been through. And but they also have a program for Ukraine now, helping Ukrainians resettle.
Yeah. And then the Gaza. I mean, it's terror.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Children. This world will just break your heart.
Yeah.
But then you come out to this boat
Yeah.
and it heals you.
Yeah, sometimes I feel bad about that. Being disconnected from the world and its troubles. But also, I'm like,
Oh, it's so
Not.
much. I've actually been pretty responsible too, because I've always, not always, since I've had my family raised, because you're just in it when you're doing that, but listening, trying to be a responsible citizen, getting caught up in so many things, and there's so much now. There's just fires everywhere, and if you turn it on in a responsible manner, it just brings you like the negativity. So I don't know. I say, you know, you gotta get back to the roots in your community and know your neighbor, right, or help. And I don't want to turn it off, but boy, it's too much.
yeah.
Make you ill. A lot of bad things going on. Not here on this boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go through phases of, you know, learning as much as I can and then needing to turn it off. You know, just,
Yeah, or you know, and listening to enlightening things too, like the good stories, like you just shared. You know, I traveled a couple years ago. I guess it was just a year ago. My daughter graduated from college, and she was going to Croatia, and then she invited me to go, like with two of her friends. I'm going, I'd love to. I mean, I never really thought about going abroad, like to Europe or anywhere. So we went to Croatia, and I was just amazed by everybody, how they all know their history, and they're just so bright, and the culture everywhere. And seeing young families, it was very encouraging, because it was really just after the last election, I think, and before, was it before COVID? So it was just refreshing, and humanity. It was good. Plus, it was beautiful. And then we went to Italy, too. So that was really special. And but yeah, just seeing that, you know. Yeah, we're very fortunate. Croatia's beautiful.
Did you go to Dubrovnik?
Yes, so that's where, like, the Game of Thrones, right? Like, I'm not that, but it was all, yeah. But we stayed in Airbnb out, and it was 3 women and 3 girls my daughter's age, and myself. But it was like in a fishing village. It was so beautiful, just in the Mediterranean. You just, the big thing for us was, like, it's 90 steps to go home every night. We're going, that Uber can't find the back way. We'd walk home. But you'd walk down and just go swimming, and greatest fish. People are just fishing and eating. Lemons everywhere, because they're just growing. They're just eating what they're growing. It just felt good. Yeah, really beautiful. And Italy was, yeah, just, have you been to Italy? Either of you been? Yeah.
No.
No, yeah.
It was in Greece.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yes.
I'd like to go to Italy also.
The water, I mean, yeah, it's just the water. Yeah, Greece I'd love to go to, too. Yeah, we went to 3 different, we went to Bologna and Florence, and then I'm going to say it wrong, Cinque Terre, like villages, because whenever I would see Italy, I go, I want to go there, like all the little terracotta villages and all along the water. So we did. It was great. And the people are just beautiful.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to buy one of those little villages for like $10,000. You know, it's all run down. They're like, please take it and fix it for us.
Yeah.
I'm just going to save up money.
Oh, wait,
get my
you said you
retirement
weren't
plan.
going to do another big project yet.
But I want in on that one.
Here I am.
They do have, they have encouraging things for people to go there. You can get
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yep. No, I probably will do that because, I mean, if I can hunker down for 10, 15, 20 years and just save my money, save, and do a retirement plan because I have no money saved for retirement at all. I could probably do that. Probably, that'd be a good life for me, just to go putt around, have my little grape vineyard.
Well, it's just really very, I know my sister, she was watching a show, and it's like the Blue Zone. She goes, look at this is where, I go, comes down to this really, you know, they garden for 3 hours a day, you know, and they walk up those 80 steps, and they just, you know, and they eat well.
They do
They
every
eat what's off their
manual.
land. I mean, it's not a secret. I mean,
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
we just, it's all process, but it was, it's really refreshing. And it's not complicated, but we make it so complicated and work on a grind, like retirement. I mean, yeah, you need to be responsible, but you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm reminded of anything these days, you know, work your ass off and die after the day you retire anyway, or whatever, people in the corporate world. But you just really have to embrace the day and work hard, your labor, but enjoy that sunset.
It's crazy to me how much of our life is spent working to pay for a house and a car. Like
Education.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean, if you choose that path,
If you
or you
choose
get
that
trapped
path,
into
yeah,
it. I mean, oh my
yeah.
gosh, my son, like, it's huge. It's awful.
Ideally, if you get an education, you get a good enough paying job which will offset your cost, and then basically you're making the
That's
same
what they
amount of
sold
money
us, but no, it's
as the people who didn't get an education. So really, you're not farther ahead. You just got a better job. But if that's true, still though, the house and the car, and realistically, the house shouldn't take you 30 years to buy. I mean, if you're going for a super nice house, okay, fine. But like just to have a house to live in, I mean, there was a time where, I mean, the houses were so basic. It was like a sod house, you know? You spent 3 months and you built your house and that was it. That was your house.
Yeah.
And of course it didn't last very long, but then you built your cabin and then the cabin lasted until it burned down. But I mean, it's just crazy to me how far we've come in that. And I understand that a lot of that has to do with modernization and efficiencies and all of that stuff. Yes, but somehow I think there's too much value attached into the land aspect of that. It's not so much the structure; it's the land that the structure is on that makes it so expensive. You're buying into this piece of property in a neighborhood, and then you're saddled with these taxes. I mean, my God, the New York taxes. I had somebody I was talking to the New York taxes. It's like, you pay how much for taxes every year? That's as much as a mortgage.
How about in Key West? They pay a lot, don't they?
I don't think the Key West taxes are very much. I think it's the homeowner's insurance that
Yeah,
really
well, you
weighs
can't even
the
get
bill.
it, right?
If you can get it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the reason I ended up with this boat, because for a period of time after my wife and I separated, she went back to Pennsylvania, and the house we were living in, they sold it, so then I had to leave anyway, which I was going to leave anyway. But it was during COVID, so everybody came down here. All the housing prices went through the roof. Because they went through the roof, all the people who were renting houses out sold those rental houses. And so there weren't rental houses. And then there were all these people trying to come here to rent houses.
Yep.
And the housing crisis was just at its peak. So I was looking at places for like $3,500 a month. And I'm like, I'm not spending that. I'm not going to spend $40,000 a year in rent.
And not own
For
anything anyway.
rent.
Yeah.
So I ended up living in a sea container for what ended up being a year. Like, it was supposed to be a couple of weeks, and I thought, well, I'll find something will shake loose. Nothing did. So I got rid of the couch and I put in a bed instead, and just slept in the sea container for a year. 'Cause, I mean, it's not a whole lot different than a boat, honestly. I mean, it's a lot different than this boat, but the boats that I was used to living on,
What was it?
actually
A what container?
a sea container. You know, like those.
Oh, like you do from like a railroad, like a car? Mm-hmm. But where was it?
You know, just over here in Stock Island on the
know.
land. And it wasn't one of the full size ones. It was like a half size, like a 20-foot sea container. And most of it, I mean, wasn't supposed to be a house. It was a storage for
Yeah.
like my tools and a little workshop. You know.
Yeah.
It was I basically slept in my garage. Is what I did. My air conditioned garage. Which was okay because it had air conditioning. You know, it's a lot like
tiny
this,
house,
like an
yeah.
unfinished space. You
Yeah.
throw down a rug and you put in a nice comfortable bed. And you light a candle and you're like, all right, this is okay.
It's all good with it.
But yeah, so I mean, I saved that money that I otherwise would have spent on rent and used it to buy this boat.
Yeah.
And now, as I go on, the money that I need to maintain this boat every year, if I just look at it as the cost of rent, that's about what I need to pay for regular maintenance.
Right.
So
No, and
it all works out for me.
So what type of jobs did you do? Working like to save up that money?
Just the tikis.
Oh,
was-
during that time you were doing the tikis.
Yeah, by that time I had both tikis rented, and it's not like I couldn't have afforded that. I could have.
You just
I just
didn't
couldn't
want it.
justify
Yeah.
spending. That's ridiculous because, you know, the thing that always panics me is, what if I commit to a lease and then something happens, I lose my job, and now I'm stuck in this payment. And I guess, you know, growing up, my wife and I got married when I was 17, so it was enormously difficult for me to even get a job at that age. Like, people wouldn't hire me because they were like, you're still a kid. I'm like, well, I'm married. They were like, you're still
We
a
have a
kid.
kid.
I'm like, well, how am I supposed to take care of my wife and my child that's on the way? You won't give me a job. And I went through that for years, which years at that point meant by the time I was 22, that was years that I went through that. And they still wouldn't hire me because I was too young, because I didn't have connections, because I didn't have experience, all of which were true. But
But how do you build those?
during that time, it really, really traumatized me in a way that, like, financially traumatized me. So now I'm like, oh, I got no money. I might not ever have money. And then I just keep working and positioning myself in life so that I can afford the life I have and not grow into an income and then have it ripped out from under me. So with that time during the COVID thing, I had the tiki's renting, and it was so busy here. It was unbelievably busy. And I did really well with it. And I just kept banking the cash away because I didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, because during it got really busy.
Were
down
the
here, yeah.
tikis done when COVID started? Or were you finishing them
The
up real
original tiki was done and I had it started to rent in July of 19. So
Okay.
it was going for about 9 months by the time
Good
all of
timing.
this broke loose. And then I was able to get a loan, a business loan, and with that money I built the second one. And then I had that in the water by Christmas of 20. So then I was able to run that for 2 years, 2 good solid years, making real good money. And then 23, it really slowed down. But it wasn't like a crash. It was a nice gradual decline.
Not like the boat.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just banked away the cash because I didn't know what to do with it, but I knew something was going to happen. I would use it somehow, somewhere.
And then she showed up.
It was.
And you had the other boat first.
And I sold that
You
in,
sold it right before Ian? Or?
yeah, I sold that in 21 when she was my ex-wife actually at the time. When we got back together during the COVID shutdown.
Because that happens, yeah.
Yeah, because we had time to talk about stuff and thought we had been able to get past some things that in the end we did not. We were not able to. So we got together and we moved everyone from Pennsylvania down to Key West because everything was shut down. She was a real estate agent up there and she had nothing going. So
Yeah, you couldn't even show houses. That
couldn't
was
show
the pain in
houses,
the
couldn't do
ass, yeah.
anything. Kids couldn't go to school, and I was like, well, Florida's open for business. I've got a thriving business down there. Let's go to Key West. So that's what we did, and all I had was the boat at the time, and we lived on it with the kids for about a month, I think, while we tried to find a place, and it was tough. It was a tough
I
month
bet.
because that boat was not nearly as nice or large as this one.
The square footage, yeah.
Yeah. If we were living on this one, we probably would have just kept on living on this one. This is, you could easily have,
Yeah, this is
I
great.
mean, especially if I have this master cabin finished out. This has got like, including the upper deck space, it's like 1,100 square feet. It's huge.
Wow.
Enormous.
I know.
Yeah.
We feel it. We
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. But, so I sold the boat because in part it was the family thing, but also it was just such a job. And it was a steel hull, so like it was constantly
Yeah,
rusting.
you
and
saw that
needed
it's-
so much stuff done.
That was wisdom, though.
Couldn't
that-
do it.
yeah, whatever.
So yeah, I sold it, and then I didn't have a boat. I had just the 2 tikis. That was it, and then we lived on land. I got out of the boating life for a while. That was a weird year. It was about
For
last
many
year was
reasons.
6, 7 months. We lived on land, and then we split up, and then I was in the sea container, which was a weird time.
All very symbolic.
Yes,
Split up and went to the sea container.
yeah, the land version of a boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, now here I am. So I think by the end of 2024, this should definitely be finished by that time. The construction, I'm sure I probably won't have all of the little finer bells and whistles and mechanical aspects won't be finished, but if I can have the construction done by Christmas this year, I will be satisfied enough. Just be glad to be done.
Will you, Ryan?
I'll be satisfied with that progress. I mean, I won't be happy. I'll be happy if I'm done by June, but I doubt that'll
What is
happen because
happy,
that's yeah, it's just so much
Overrated.
to do. And I have to replace this roof. Like this whole thing has to come off. The structure just needs to be tore off and a whole new roof put on.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And I don't think I'm going to do it. It's just I keep looking at it like, oh my god.
Well, otherwise it's going to come back to haunt you, though, right?
Well, it just needs to not have water coming in, and that's a much more attainable thing. You know, I could put a rubber roof on this if I wanted to. I just pull all the fasteners out, caulk everything, seal it all back up, put it all back in, and that's good enough for now. Because I mean, I don't know what the plan is with this boat, but it's probably just going to be exactly this. It's going to be a hostel for the foreseeable future. And maybe there's something else that'll happen in my life. Maybe I'll just sell the thing. You know? But for the money that I would have to pay just to replace this roof, I mean, I'm already $250 into this.
How much would a rubber roof cost, like what you just spoke of?
A few $100.
Wouldn't that be the salt? Isn't that the...
I mean, it's not a permanent solution.
Oh, it's
You
not
know,
permanent.
the roof is very floppy. Like if you walk around on it, it's very floppy.
Soft.
Yeah, because it's got the outer layer fiberglass, and then it's got 2 inches of balsa wood that the termites ate. So now there's just a 2-inch void. There's another layer of fiberglass and then a 1-inch layer of balsa wood, which the termites ate. So that's also a void. And then the bottom layer of fiberglass. So when you walk on it, it's all just like.
Right, but is there, I haven't been up there, but isn't there a way to like do that rubber, like it's a thing, but then you also just build up over that so it's a stronger support system, you know what I mean? So the rubber holds it's the water
Probably.
issue. Yeah, the water issue is the thing, right? You don't want it to do, because
I was looking at it. I think what I may end up doing is, because I have solar panels for that section right there. Originally, there was like an entertainment area up there, but I don't really need that. I mean, I have so much space on this boat as it is.
no, you just want it to not leak.
I just want it to not leak and not be floppy and saggy. Because right now, when I go and put the vinyl ceiling inside here, the roof kind of has this
Like a bow.
belly in it, you know, because all the wood's gone. It's just flopped down, you know, like a.
So why does
souffle.
it have so much termite damage? Is that if people don't take care of a
this
boat,
boat-
that'll happen?
And the termites.
The termites,
yeah,
they're
termites.
just really
But it
bad.
seems
down
like
there.
if you could seal it, like you said, it would still be floppy, but then you just build something, I don't know, you know, because you have all
Yeah.
that space, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be wood, obviously, it would be, could be fiber, because that'd be so expensive, right? But
The other thing I was thinking is I could easily enough from where it's pretty much where the back wall is for the kitchen, all the way back to here
it's a lot of space.
is open. I can get in there. From the kitchen wall forward, that's all the rest of the enclosure that it's going to be really difficult to try to surgically open up and do anything. Like I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to remove that entire prefabricated section, which has all the steering lines, all the electrical stuff goes in there, hydraulic systems. I don't want to get
Don't
into
do
all of that. But this backside, I mean, that's really like get in there with a grinding wheel and just zip, 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 peel off that fiberglass layer and get in with a roofing scraper, scrape out all the rest of that balsa in that first layer, leave the second layer, brace this up from underneath so it's solid, and then just lay in sheets of there's a stuff called Kusa board, and it's a shape or it's the size of a sheet of plywood, and it's made out of composite materials, so it doesn't rot, it doesn't take water, it's just like
You know, it
that's what
almost
it is.
seems like the stuff they shoot up north, like with, for insulation. You know, they blow it, it's like almost like a.
Well, I
foam.
thought about doing structural foam.
Like foam, yeah, and
Yeah.
then, but again, you just have to seal that somewhere, and when you say to that one wall, you gotta make sure that that gets up,
The issue with the
Foam.
structural foam is when it expands,
spans, yeah.
it'll just, the whole roof will just be lumpy and
Yeah.
crazy. Even if you formed it, which I thought about doing, just go and buy a bunch of sheets of plywood and then brace it in there and drill out some vent holes,
Yeah.
basically, and just allow it to
Expand, yeah.
foam over. It's still going to be lumpy. And I'm going to spend a shit ton of money on structural foam of the correct density to do this. And I may, if I'm going to go through all of that,
Nice. So good.
I may as well just cut the thing open and just put in these layers of this composite plywood, just epoxy it all into place so it makes a nice, firm, rigid
Do it right.
structure, and then put new fiberglass layer over top the whole thing, and then it's all sealed. It's all done.
And it's smooth.
Yep. But I don't want to. That's a lot of work. It's no matter how you slice it. That's still, I don't even know how much money in Kusa board. I'd probably end up spending $20,000 in Kusa board, just the Kusa board, let alone all the rest of the components. So replacing this roof, doing all of that work, when it doesn't really, really, really need to be done, at least
Does
not
if
right
it
now.
leaks in here, though.
Well, the leaks need to be dealt with, but the structural aspects of it, I think there's some other things. Because, like I said, the solar panels, I want to put solar panels up there anyway. So if I do that, only about half of the roof in the salon is actually the termites got in and ate it out. The back half is more of just water damage, and it's delaminated from the wood that's still there. So the rigidity is there. So if I just run some aluminum stringers across that saggy spot and epoxy some pieces down, and I can pull them up, just kind of like lift up all the saggy piece and support it with this bracing, and then put the solar panels on top of that, I think that would work. And then, couple that with the rubber will or I mean, most of it, I don't even really need the rubber roof. It's okay. It's fiberglass. It's just there's all these screw holes and stuff that weren't quite patched right. So I just get in there with a grinder and just patch them in right.
Back to the termites, is it, if it is all sealed correctly, you would not get termite damage on a boat, or
I don't know.
or
I mean,
you always have to be
theoretically.
fumigating, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I never grew up with termites,
feel
and then
like
termites were a new thing when I went to Southern
yeah,
California.
Yeah, Florida has termites constantly.
Is it always a boat?
They
It's-
mutate.
It's always
like
a boat
cockroaches here, right?
issue.
Yeah, they're just like, and even here in the Anchorage, because they're on the island right now. They're just around, and when you get a nice calm day in the spring and in the fall, they'll swarm,
Yeah.
and then they head for a light source. That's what they're programmed to do, and then they swarm your boat because you got your lights on, and they are covered, and they all run around and they look for every little crevice and nook,
gotta be
and then they
stressful,
go in.
Because you know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and
And what
get
can
in.
you do? Like, you spray or you don't do?
you can spray, but you know if your spray won't get everywhere, so you've got to fumigate. If you seal it up correctly, yes, in theory they won't get in. But if there's one screw hole and your screw got backed out, you forgot to screw it back in, they just get into that one hole and woof, they go everywhere. I was in there actually just right here. I was fixing my drains because they're leaking down into right under here is the lazarette. It's like my laundry room. And the water's leaking everywhere. I got new washer and dryer coming next week, so I got to get these fixed. I pulled those out, and in between, so you got the wood here. It's about, I think it's about 1/2 inch thick wood, and then underneath that, there's a fiberglass deck, and then under that, there's a core, again, of wood that is now gone, and then under that is the fiberglass, the inside of the room underneath. So all of this is just gone.
It's like they shouldn't use wood in it. I mean, I don't know. Like, how do you not do that? Though,
Well,
right?
they don't anymore. That's like old material
yeah.
that they used to do. But now they have these composites. Like I said, the Cusa board is one, foam core is the other, and the termites just don't eat it.
Yeah.
And so that's how you prevent termites, is just have stuff they don't eat. Period.
Except the wood.
But it's too late now, and that's part of the reason why I got this boat at all. Is the damage from the insects is so severe. Like, if I wanted to sell this boat for what I have into it, somebody would want a survey done, and the surveyor would come and discover this
Survey
very
says,
quickly
yeah.
and be like, you have a hollow boat. Like, everything has at least an outer layer and an inner layer of fiberglass with a piece of wood in between. And pretty much everywhere that wood is gone. It's just this 2 layers loosely held together. I'm scared of the idea of taking this out into like the deep ocean, where you have big waves and the thing would be subject to big stress points and everything.
Yeah.
Here is fine. This boat
Yeah.
will stand this for decades. But out there, ships literally break in half out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Because they get stressed.
yeah. So that's why I say I don't really want to put a lot more money into this thing, because realistically, I can't get the money back out. It needs to only be the stuff that's cosmetic and necessary to the business function of the vessel, and of course, basic seaworthiness. But the seaworthiness is fine. It's not at risk. It's just the leaky
But you're
roof.
living on it too.
I'm living on
so
it.
it's
yeah.
making,
And
yeah.
there's an element of that.
There's that monthly or whatever.
Yep. And the longer I
30,000.
live on it, the more return I. Well, that's not true at all. My monthly payment is to annually maintain the boat. So that's not quite right. But that's what I mean. So for now, this is fine. I just need to get it to the point where, and I'll know it when I hit it, because like there's no set list of stuff that I'm like, okay, once these items
is
are
done,
done,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
done.
yeah. It's
It's just
something
like
else.
one day I'll walk in and I'll be like, this is good enough. I can live with the rest of this the way it is. I'm not worrying about
So
it
can
anymore. I'm
everybody
done.
else that comes on board.
Yep, I'm gonna start saving to go buy an Italian village, and that'll be my new
So
focus.
I'm going to follow you for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come to Italy too and stay.
Yeah, no, how
stay
cool
in
would
your
that be?
houses.
Yeah, I mean, if I could find a way to somehow facilitate the transport, I think people would love that. Be able to come.
You build
experience
it, we
that.
will come.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a neat business in my neighborhood. I just saw it pop up on my GPS as a a location point, and I was like, what's this? Because it's called like Costa Rican Adventures or something like that. And I love Costa Rica. It's my absolute favorite. And my dream is like to move there and buy a property
Love
that
the water too. Yep.
you're reforesting the grazed rainforest.
Yeah. Yep.
Just, I love Costa Rica. Anyway, that's another story. But this location point popped up on my GPS when I was searching something. I was like, what is this? I clicked on it and I called the number. They do adventure bike rides through Costa Rica, where like they provide the guide, and you're kind of just off the beaten trail and, you know, staying in little villages and
They
stuff.
help you get to the next point.
And yeah, but that could go with your Italy business. Having
That's-
people come there, and then
Yeah.
you know, Italy, you could just go all over. And
I guess I need to research that stuff some more. I mean, I like that idea of a social traveling thing. I'm not sure what to call it, but I mean, it never really occurred to me before, because I guess when it was me and my wife, well, number one, we didn't do much traveling, but when we did, I was also young, and I was like, no, it's fine. I just go places and I'll just know what to do. And after enough times of going places and realizing, no, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm going or what it is, and this always ends up a nightmare. Appreciating the idea of having an experienced person in the group, but not somebody that you have to go pay for them all on your own.
Well, right, and not that it just is it going to be like an organic kind of thing, you know, where you're really seeing it, enjoying it. It's
Yeah.
a game changer. Yep.
Like with this listing, it's been amazing to me to see how the dynamic of the people who come on board almost always meshes so well. Like totally unplanned. Like, is anybody's guess who's going to be on board? We know. It just like, and that's what's interesting to me about it. Like my buddy, he said, you know, you're going to get sick of doing that, because he watched me do it towards the end on my old boat, and I was sick of it, because all of the issues that I had not worked out, like for example, my cabin was right next to the staircase for the people to come up and down to use the toilet.
I think I read that on one of your things.
Yeah, they would come
just
down the
fall
stairs. Yeah, and they would fall down. And at 2 a.m, I would hear them fall down the stairs.
I can visual that, right?
And then they would get up, and then they would go into the bathroom, and then hear the toilet, because it was an electric macerating toilet, which was really loud. So it's like,
oh yeah,
So you knew every move they were having. Oh
then
yeah,
they go-
that dinner's hitting them now.
yep. And like the stuff like that for so many years, just to not be able to sleep because of listening to people go to the bathroom,
yeah.
that wears on a person. I mean, it wore on me when I had to put wood in the fire at 2 a.m. every day through the wintertime living in Pennsylvania. But at least that was over by the time May came. Like, I could sleep in the summer. There was no sleep for me. So I was pretty wore out by the time that was all over. And he was like, you're going to get sick of doing this. Which he's right. There will be elements to that. But what is always interesting to me is, what's this group going to be like? What are we going to talk about? How is it going to go?
Because it's the unknown.
It's
You don't know.
totally unknown.
Yeah.
And it's chemistry.
Don't you
know?
love the unknown? I mean, people,
I do.
But a lot of people can't stand the unknown, right?
Yeah.
They get so intimidated and fearful.
They
and
probably wouldn't be
They
staying
would-
on this boat.
they will, oh no, they wouldn't. Like when I
That's-
tell them
that's the
about it,
thing.
they're like, "You're doing what?"
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so with that one, it was a lot worse because everybody had to sleep outside, whether or not it rained. Like, there was nowhere inside to sleep. I had my cabin, but that's because I lived there.
Yeah,
Everybody
that
else
would
had
be
to sleep on the
difficult.
deck.
Did you have groups usually, or were they individual?
It was usually like, actually, I didn't get a whole lot of solo travelers at that time. Sometimes I did. Most of the time, it was like couples,
Yeah, which
and
could really wreck
a
them.
little bit bigger. Yeah, but when I would talk to people about that, because it was a good listing. It represented like 55% of my overall business of what I was doing. And I would tell people what I was doing, and they're like amazed that anyone would come and sleep outside. And I would charge them to sleep in the rain. And it was like $75 a person, I think, is what I was charging them for. And they said, well, how do you prevent like crazy people from coming, or like people from being upset? And I'm like, I just don't. I mean, it's just, I'm honest about what is being offered. I mean,
Yeah,
if
not
you
setting
read-
you up for something.
yeah, I mean, if
fabricated.
you read
Self-regulating.
this whole listing, it's super, super long and involved.
It is, and at the end you go, "Thank you for."
Yeah. the other one wasn't as long, but it didn't have as much to know. And most of what I had to say was to try to scare the person off. Like, if I couldn't scare you off in the first few sentences and you still wanted to come, I was like, okay, this person's going to be fine. They're not going to be shocked
and I'm
by...
hear him flush.
Yeah, they're not going to be shocked by any of the rest of the stuff that I have to say if they understand and are accepting you're sleeping with strangers outside on the ocean in potentially the rain. If you're still on board at that point, you're not going to care that, you know, I use these type of sheets, or the pads are this size. You know, the rest of it is immaterial to you.
Yeah.
And that is the sifting process through the people. And some of them did get through anyway that should not have gotten through. It happened a lot with customers who come from Asia, like directly from Asia. The Asian Americans, I never really had too much of a trouble with, but the other ones, I think it was a language barrier, and we're talking back in, 17, 18, and Google Translate wasn't quite on point with stuff. And I don't think they understood that things like this even existed. So they would show up, and I remember one time somebody showed up and they're like, well, where's our rooms? I'm like, oh, you did not read.
This is our room,
And
right?
I explain it to them, and the shocked look on their face. Because the boat left, the water taxi left. And they're like, no, we have to go now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
my own
"It's too
bathroom,
late."
right.
You get yourself a
Now
pad.
they have a story to tell for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah, they
They're
were telling
probably
that.
still telling you.
They were telling that story to Airbnb customer support, and Airbnb's like, it's in the listing. You don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But still, it was that was the answer to everyone's question of how is it that you can, how does that work? I said it's because there are people out there that are willing to do that, and if you're honest and straightforward with it, that's going to draw them out. That's going to, like, because there's people who'd be like, yeah, I probably would do that. And then there's people who are like, I want to do that. And it's the ones that want to. Like you guys both want to. You both came with great attitudes, and it's going to be perfect. This is perfect for you. And then there's other people who are like, I don't like sharing my space. That's fine. Don't come. There's other boats that you can just come out, see the sunsets, the same sunset you guys say. Because still going to charge you $75 just to go watch the sunset.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we did the other night. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
on
It's the same
but then
price.
even that, I saw. I met some really nice people that were there. It was just the wine and cheese thing, but they give the overhaul, like safety. Not a lot. Like I'm like, where are the life jackets? Because I'm a little situational awareness. And but the bathroom, it was a sailboat, and you downstairs in this 80. He goes, so the only bathroom's down there, and I'm like, oh God, I'm a nurse. I'll help you a little bit. But he made it. But they didn't have any idea. You're just booking things. And Americans do that anyway. Now, when you do travel abroad, I do pretty well. I can handle my own. So I just traveled with a small bag because you want to check it. They don't do anything for you. Because like you be going, I barely find the where I had to go for my airplane. Then you go outside. They take you by a bus, but then you're out on the field, going up those stairs and putting that suitcase. Like, there I go, where's the three-wheelers with his oxygen? Because that's the U.S., right? Like, give me a little, oh, gosh. They don't enable you. Or the trains, you're down in Italy and you're doing it. And I'm like, gosh, I mean, if you did drop, no one's coming for a while. 911. But it's good. They're not dropping because they do it every day, right? Good. Well, thanks for sharing all your personal stuff. That's good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoy sharing my
Your
story. Well, I mean, it's nice to share it again now. After about a year of sharing it the first time, I did start to get tired of it. But
Wow.
I learned to transition it. I was actually just telling this to the other guys a couple nights ago. One guy was asking me how I got good at sharing
Being
stories.
able to, because
And I was like, it's just repetition. Just had to keep saying it over and over and over. And eventually, when I did get sick of it, it was the time that I realized that I could have fun with it too. That people, because I'm very particular about making sure that I keep my story straight and factual, but then understanding that in an element, in this type of an element, when you're in this type of an element, you kind of want to hear a sailor's tale that is embellished. And so I started doing that just a little bit, a little bit here to accentuate something there and maybe stretch the truth a little here. And people were just engaged and they loved it, and I knew they're not going to go, bet on a stock price based on what I just told them. Like, they're not making life decisions with this information. They're just being entertained for the night. And then, so I did. I hammed up the stories a little bit and had some fun with it. And stretched it out for about another year before I got sick of it again. And then I think for the last part of the year, I began pivoting more into making the guests tell me their stories rather than me telling mine. So I kept mine pretty short, and I really enjoyed that time because people have pretty awesome stories. And I think it was in that part. Like, I'm not doing this podcast because I like to hear my same story over and over. I like other people's stories. And it's diverse. It's so amazing. One time, I was sitting, I went downstairs to go do something. I came back out, and I think there was like a group of 5 or 6 people there around the fire. And one guy's telling a story. And I sit down in the middle of the story and I'm listening to him. And he's in Colombia. And he's talking about it. And I realize he's describing when he was kidnapped by the police. And they had him in the trunk of a car, and he thought he was going to get killed with these crooked cops. And they ended up driving him out into, like, the jungle, and they robbed him, essentially, and thankfully left him live. Wow. That's a pretty amazing story. I don't think I have one that tops that. But you never know.
But you wouldn't hear it if you don't open that up.
Right.
And share it. And a lot of healing comes, of course, because that's hard. That's hard. Like what you did, the first year and second year. But boy, just the benefits.
Yes. Yes.
Are,
That's for sure.
yeah.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm exhausted. I've been up
Bet you are.
very late many nights.
I bet.
And I need to go to bed early because I keep getting up at the sunrise. I don't know why. It's just happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta catch up on some sleep somewhere.
Can we see tomorrow? Can we see the cabins that you're working on? Or are they kind of?
You just open the door. It's just right here.
Right.
Just when you go down the stairs on your left,
Oh,
just
okay.
open that door. It's
Oh, okay.
dark in there, and it's a
Okay.
huge mess because it's my storage container shed thing over there is also a huge mess. Because
Your
before
old
I left-
apartment?
No, not that one.
Ah.
No, I didn't live in that. I won't live in that. But I just kind of threw everything in there because I had to run out the door last time I made my trip. And then since I've been back, I've been hosting, so I haven't had a chance to clean that out. But as I'm pulling things out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need this here, which is good because I need to move over here. So I'm just like throwing stuff into this room right here. So if you can kind of see past all the stacks of insulation and boxes and tools and stuff.
No, I mean, there's a lot of space. It's so cool.
That's the one you call the
That's the master cabin.
Cabin.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is
Yes, here. You can
heavenly.
have your fuzzy
Yep.
microphone
Little piece
back.
of heaven.
I'm going to stay up a little bit, but